I heard that you're in a bit of a creative block and you haven't been creating a lot recently. And I just wanted to check in with you and to be with you and to just witness you, because I know how hard it can be when every time you say you're going to create, nothing happens. It's so painful, and it's really valid to be upset, a little frustrated, even a little angry. All those feelings are so valid. But I just wanted to kind of sit and talk to you and just be with you and to see if I can help at all. I've written down a few things that help me through my creative blocks, and I've got a cup of coffee, and I thought we could just sit and be with one another and just talk this through, if that's okay. So you're not creating. You know, it's okay to take breaks, long breaks away from your art. You don't have to be hustling all the time. You know that, right? Creatives need boredom. We need time away. We can't constantly be producing, and it's okay that sometimes it runs dry. I don't want you beating yourself up when you're just in a very normal flow of creative life. This happens to all of us. Boredom is so important. Time away from producing is so important. Yet we're sold the story that we have to make, and that if we have time away from creating, that we're a failure. There's just nothing further from the truth. And I'm so sorry that we live in a culture that prioritizes productivity above all else. It's not fair. And you shouldn't have to be this hard on yourself. I feel like maybe part of the problem, though, is that you want this project to be perfect. And you're not letting yourself start. You're not letting yourself make, because the pressure is just too much. You've put too much pressure on yourself, and it's so unbelievably unfair. I don't want to be the one to break this to you, but you're not gonna make perfect art, and the vision that you have in your head of what you want to do, it's gonna be a little bit different to that. And you know what? It's good. That's okay. And I would love you to come home to that, because I feel like if you're going to start making again, it's going to be a very hard process unless you start letting yourself make some really, really shit art. And I know we've been taught that the only way we can be loved and accepted and seen is by doing really, really well. But that isn't the game with creativity. We have to have room to play and to make mess and to make bad art. And so I'm wondering if that's what you need to do. If you need to go home after our chat and just fucking make some crappy art to break the drought. And you know what happens after a few sessions of making some shitty art? Something mediocre comes along, and maybe, in fact probably, predictably, honestly, eventually gold comes along, goal that you will have never found if you had stayed in a loop of perfectionism. You rob us of your magic. You rob us of your art when you require yourself to excel at all times. It doesn't need to be perfect. It feels too big. It is big. What you're dreaming of is so magnificent and so creative, and I love it. It is big. And it's okay to be intimidated. I'm so often intimidated by my own ideas. But you can't wake up each day and think, okay, I have to deal with this whole project right now, today. It's too much. It's not fair. You've been so unfair on yourself. You need to break it down, baby. You need to break it all the way down. Like, you need to think of the tiniest little baby step you could do next. Like, I'm talking, open your laptop and look at the file. I'm talking a daydream. I'm talking tiny, 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 tiny goals. But here you are every day thinking, oh my God, I have to do this whole thing and it's not fair, it's too big. You have to bring it back down. You shouldn't have these big things on your to-do lists. It's unfair, it's intimidating, and it's overwhelming. No wonder you're feeling blocked. What's the tiniest thing you could do? The tiniest. It should be embarrassingly small. It should be embarrassingly small. Let me see what else I have on this list. I think you've been cruel to yourself. I think you've been holding your expectations too high. You haven't been breaking it down. It's felt so overwhelming. It's not fair on you. Creating art is hard enough. It's the most vulnerable, tricky thing that humans do. We have to be so courageous and so brave, and yet here you are expecting perfection, perfection, perfection. And you're not breaking up this big project into tiny chunks. It's just going to feel too big, too impossible, when it is so possible. I've got one more thing written on my list here. Worried it's going to be, and then that last word, I honest to God can't read. Let me look at it again. Worried it's going to be bad. That's what I've written. I worry when I have my big projects that it's gonna be bad. And every time I turn up to the projects that I really care about, I get stuck in daydreams about it turning out horribly. And I'm so concerned and so worried about this big project that I love so much turning out to be a shambles. And then I have to sit myself down and I have to remind myself, like, so gently just remind myself that there is no rush, and that I can receive help if I need it. If it's not where I want it to be, I can receive feedback, I can edit, I can add, I can fix. We're so final with thoughts like this. Oh, if I make it bad, it's going to be bad, and there'll be nothing I can do. There's always something to be done. And you know what? If it's really, really bad, I can start again. Or I I can pick another one of my incredibly precious projects to work on, and maybe after a while I can come back and revisit her with fresh eyes. There's always something to be done, and the fear of it being bad, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for you not to show up and make your art. You're a one-time phenomenon in this universe, a one-time phenomenon, and no one can create the art that you make and that you're going to make. And so if you hold it within you, it will never be witnessed in all of human experience, and it will have died literally inside of you. And that's incredibly selfish and unfair. So we have to do the brave thing. We have to be generous and vulnerable and show up and create, even when we worry that it's going to be bad, even when the project feels huge, even when we can hear those perfectionist voices whispering to us, whispering, I'm so proud of you. It's okay that you've been on this break. It's okay that you've been blocked. It's not inherently bad. It is something that happens to all of us. You have to forgive yourself. You have to stop being so cruel. I promise you, your creative journey is going to be so much harder if you keep listening to that cruel inner critic. I'm so proud of you. We need your art. I think it's time to create.